That's nice. Okay. On our funny topic of periods, not funny. Mm. Um, I was just talking about how I will be very dramatic when my period starts.
Oh yeah,
Do some kind of a
absolutely.
crazy monologue that I really should think about recording when I come out of the bathroom and I just like have a whole very dark monologue of the
Mm.
emptiness and cyclical void and everything is about to end and it was so great knowing you and now I'm going to bleed to death. Of course, this happens every month, whatever, right? But, and then I did just share a poem called Period Begin, and it's about that. But kind of what I wanted to talk about with that is in these moments that feel just terrible or our minds are somewhere else and it's all weird, it's also a great time to write poetry because poetry can, it's sort of like fragments of words in way, like fragments of phrases, because a poem is obviously different from just regular speak or a paragraph, you know?
Oh
So
yeah.
almost sometimes think about a poem is like you can almost look at like a paragraph, phrases, and then kind of sometimes choose some particular words. And oh, I hear myself across the house. Um, right, like we can kind of like pick certain words out of like a paragraph or a monologue and kind of start to rearrange those into a poem.
Oh,
And with that, we can kind of pick some of those like very stronger um elements and phrases to, right, basically, yeah, condense that into poetic format. Uh so and then in
cool.
in these moments that like, because poetry isn't just happy about all the birds and stuff, right? Some people just learn poetry by going really emo about it. And like,
Not the birds and the bees.
no, not quite. Yeah, like that, that sort of is also poetry, right? But you can get very sexual poems too, obviously. Um, maybe poems are what then lead to the birds and the bees, because um what was I just going on about there?
Little parts of the
I
sentences.
was going to go back to my like in grade 12, I was in this writer's craft course um
Cool.
and then the professor, not the teacher, whatever, yeah, it's high school, we call him teacher then. Um had like different like assignments for us and stuff. And
Hmm.
you got a whole bunch of like mixture of kids, but not
Oh yeah.
everyone is all like, emo and alternative, right? But suddenly you get
Yeah.
these kids in the classroom that don't have a lot of experience with poetry. And
Oh.
then so he reads some of the pieces that are submitted and he's just like, so when did you all get depressed and your life is terrible? Okay, like you don't have to be so depressed just to write a poem or pretend like you are just to make it work. But on the other hand, in these very, you know, f- depressed moments, very dark
Hmm.
moments is also a great time to
Yeah.
write poetry because there is still something so essential about the human condition
Mm.
during those times.
Yeah. My sisters actually, two of them, they're really happy when they get their periods because they write a lot with when they have
Mm.
them. My
Yeah.
other sister and I, we collapse. We like life has ended. But those other two, they're like they start whipping out all these ideas. Mm. It reminds me of what you just said there, that you can kind of write better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is like there's this kind of emotional haze that we experience,
Ah, so yeah.
right? So, and sometimes it's all crampy and you feel terrible, and then other times it's like but there's this like inspiration of my inner womanhood
Mm,
that is
mm.
just pouring through and needs to be expressed. And then sometimes it is very beautiful, right? And it
Yeah.
leads me in all different directions. Because being on my period when I have my dramatic monologues, it's like, okay, yay, the period is here. We're good, right? And then there's other moments that it's just like, not that I want to be pregnant, but I don't get to have a baby. Like it's just all these different.
Roller coaster.
And then men are just like shaking their heads like, huh?
Oh my. Oh.
Hmm. Now where do we go from here? I was sort of just like thinking about a stream of consciousness kind of poems too.
So,
And like so I have one that I quite like that's in my first book here. I probably memorized it, but I'm just going to read it anyway, just um
some
and what my purpose here is to kind of talk about how we can just sort of like take something out of like something that's more of a paragraph and stuff and that we could, pick apart pieces and we're just gonna play with that. All right.
cool.
But this one's called Parksville and the Stream of Consciousness. Watching and waiting and crashing and waving. The sea chews me up and spits me out in the comforting crests of crashing waves. Sitting back and watching the water move inches towards me. Let it flow, let it be, let it come. I reflect on my thoughts from when I floated upon it, allowing the tugs and pushes and gasps and grasps to pull me in and out, but never really down as the water splashes over my mouth. But I refuse to sink down. But oh my, I'll hang in there and keep floating, fighting the seaweed off and away from me, until I give up and allow it to immerse me, consume me. I'll do what I can do. I can only move forward. Singing, feeling, floating, turn around, swim forward a few meters until I tire and realize that all I really want to do is float. And I think about the big beach parties where everyone is a barbarian, kicking, splashing, screaming, woohooing, and challenging each other, and simply living their greatest unrestrained potential in their most vulnerable, near naked forms. And I wish I was there, and I'm glad that I'm here, watching, feeling, reflecting. It is always a reflection of myself.
Cool.
So, I mean, that one really had its own sense of flow, but at the same time, we can also, hello, Ed, you're back. You left and you're back. You can come off microphone too if you want. But like if we wanted to pull some stuff out of there and like kind of, make a kind of list of like particular words, we could play with that and be like, okay, what we like in the imagery here. The sea, the waves, where the idea of flow and floating. There's okay, we got like gas and graphs, so there's a sense of like breathing. So we got if we can because just to turn this in a whole other direction, we can be playing with the idea of the air and the water. So this is a bit more of an elemental thing. We're thinking about the beach, so we might be thinking about that it's hot out because it's the summer. Um, Not so much to do with the Earth here, other than gravity, I suppose, with the movement of the water and it not floating up and out, in the universe. I don't spend too much time talking about the sand other than the idea that, yeah, the only idea of me sitting on the sand is kind of pointed towards the fact at the end when I say that I'm sitting here watching and feeling, reflecting that, I'm reflecting on the experience. So I'm probably not in the water with my journal floating. Like that. Oh, that'd be interesting. I probably don't want my pages to get wet.
It become a challenge.
Quite the challenge. Yeah. Um, yeah, so there's right, so then we can kind of pick different things out of phrases and that so that's the conversation there that I was going for.
I like how you broke it into the elements. That was quite intriguing.
Hmm.
I didn't think of breaking it down that way.
Yeah, I didn't think about it either until now. But that's also the fun thing about like kind of sharing and community, right? Like we have a whole bunch of different kind of ideas that come to us because we're inspired by who we're talking to or who we're trying to describe something to.
And free flowing.
Yeah, things that we didn't think about before. Even you said, like, for the title of my period begin, you're like, oh, interesting, because periods are at the end of sentences. I'm like, boom, didn't even think of that. Hmm. Ed, you want to pop in, say hello? You can turn off your mic. You're on your phone. You can just do I think, click on the little mic button.
We had a most beautiful fog this morning, like super, super thick. I love the fog. It's
Mm.
like could just stare at that
Okay,
for
good.
hours.
Oh, hello.
Why, hello.
What's pretty about the fog? Let's turn it poetic.
I don't know what it
Guys,
is.
Hello.
hello. They're gonna keep on freezing here.
Okay. I've loved there's um there's this Beaver Creek Road that is like
Mm.
just off of our town. And I lived at the end of it, and I mean mixture of fog and cloud, and I was in the mountain range
Mm.
there, and it just like changes constantly. Like every hour the landscape looks so different.
Do you know that? Mm. We used to play this computer game. It was the Lord of the Rings, but it had the barrow downs in it, and it was this foggy landscape on the game, and it was beautiful to me. It was supposed to be like this, you know, kind of a Vilman place, almost kind of like that Dead Mars's, but I just think the fog is so beautiful. Your
Hmm.
road was Beaver Creek Road?
Yeah, yeah, Beaver Creek Road. Yeah.
Over at the corner of Kansas. One time we were driving on this road where there were tons of deer. It was like just like every few feet the deer would be crossing the road. And in the car, some of us we went, oh dear, but it wasn't the deer. So even when the deer weren't crossing, we were saying oh dear, and it became kind of confusing.
Well, that makes me think of my ex who just loves birds and like loves them so much that like I'm driving and he starts freaking out like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "What?" Like I think we're about to get into a car accident, like someone is coming towards us.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a cool bird. I'm like, "You
Oh dear.
you're gonna kill us. I can't even kill you because I think I have to start slamming on my brakes because there's some deer or some person running across the road."
Yeah.
So eventually I kind of built up the muscle to ignore him, but still have
Yeah.
to be aware enough that there could be something like he might freak out about something real someday, you know? Boy, cried wolf. Boy, cried
Yeah.
bird.
We used to read those there would be these books. They were pretty big and thick, but they had like the pictures of the different birds. And my sisters write a lot, so we played this game where we kind of put characters to each of them had a bird, and it was quite the best eventually because we went through the whole thing. Mm. Some of those hummingbirds are really cute. Like they're chubby almost. I
Yeah.
think those are just adorable.
Do you get much hummingbirds where you are?
We have them a lot here, in the summer. I look out the window and I'm like, it's fall and the leaves are all like off the trees. And I'm like, in the summer, yes.
It seems like I was just at my friend's house and there's hummingbird feeders out and
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have hummingbirds at this time of year or through the winter, but there's enough
Mm,
people who do put out the feeders that they must
yeah.
live off of them. So, because what, don't they like die in like 2 hours if they don't get any sustenance? It's like something ridiculous.
I don't know. I just know that they put out the hummingbird feeders really late into the year at my grandmother's house. So I'm like, yeah. They were constantly putting the sugar water into it for them, but I don't know. I hear
Yeah.
they have like a little nest, which is like the size of like a thimble or so.
Hmm.
That fascinated me. So tiny.
For a
Guess
net?
it makes sense.
But they're bigger than that. What?
Just a little kind of thimble-sized nest there for their babies.
Okay. Okay. Huh, interesting. So tiny. All right, looking for another direction to go with what else we talked
Yeah,
about. All right. Um, as I said, it wasn't extremely prepared, but it's okay. Each one gets better, right?
good. It's good.
I was just thinking about the back of this book actually, and I just wanted to kind of talk about the sort of experience of writing poetry.
Cool.
And it kind of being, I find that a lot of my poetry kind of tends to be written along a sort of, there's like sort of a loose narrative to like life
I see.
experience because when we write a poem, it is cementing a certain experience or like a thought or perspective that we're having at that time. And Um, and that's kind of what makes poetry like, I don't know, kind of interesting in a way when you start to link together all the different ones that you write because it's yeah, like so example, I mean this my first book here, Chaos of Tao, is all the poetry that was written in a single year. Subsequently, my other two books happen that way, and there's kind of like, a lot of poems are about different things, but at the same time that there is sort of a narrative, going on. So, anyway, do not seek your path directly, and the path will shine brightly. See truth in everything, which isn't to say that the world is full of lies, though it often can be. Truth is the essential force of nature itself, of yourself. This poetry is a collection of my vision of truth, exploring who I am beneath the surface. Words on the page are more expressive than what I can manage to say aloud. This work of art is a vision into my mind. Open the door, peer into my void, glimpse into the threshold between our worlds. Which I suppose it didn't exactly say what I was just describing, but at the same time, it's I like my the first line is kind of taken from my favorite band Alisana, and they're inspired by a lot of different pieces of literature and everything. So do not seek your path directly and the path will shine brightly. That was in one of their songs that was like a really big one for me and for many people. It was like a kind of like, whatever it is that you're going through, any of this darkness, any of these struggles in life, you know, eh, if you can find a way to let go, then your path will is a lot more illuminated. because if you can kind of rethink yourself, rethink your struggles or let go of the hardest parts and start to look more towards the positive future, and it will shine brighter. But hmm, I think I'm going off on a couple a different little tangent than that than what the line is saying, but
Is it kind of like you're zooming in on one light, but if you set away the utensil that you're looking through, all of a sudden the light is all around you and you can see a lot more things?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's right. Okay, yeah, tunnel vision versus seeing bigger. Yeah. Thank you. See, we need more brains to help. It's also a Taoist
that's a
thing.
different interpretation.
I was really getting into the Tao, which is called Chaos of, the book is called Chaos of Tao, but I was getting really into studying that during 2020, 2019 into 2020. I was learning about Taoism, and
What's Taoism?
Taoism is the fun part about it is that fun. The closer that you think you get to the Tao and describing it, the farther away you actually are. So the Tao is like the way that nature works and the way that the trees grow. Like there you can't like yes, there's DNA structure and so they do their thing, but you also um but you can't control things as a human either. You can do your work, you can do whatever it takes to get to a certain place, but still you can't just like expect that things are going to be exactly as you imagine them to be, or in trying to name the Tao, you're going to miss the point also.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that can do it. Oh, wait, did you ever play this like stupid game called The Game?
I don't believe so.
My mom when I tried to describe to her the Tao, she's like, oh, it reminds me of that stupid thing that you did. So the game is like if okay, so we're always playing the game, right? The game is that you don't think about the game or you don't talk about the game or else you lose the game. And so right now you're losing the game because you're thinking about it. You can go without thinking about it for like later in the day or the next week, but then I'm going to like message you aim and be like, Amy, you just lost the game. And you're like, ah. It's totally dumb, but it actually describes the Tao.
They're a winner to the game.
You're only winning insofar as you don't think about it.
Oh, so gotta turn off all your phones.
So, there's some of us people who are into it and, just like to message each other or just in the
Yeah.
middle, even in the middle of class, just turn around. You just lost the game. Wow, we went off on another tangent there, but
Oh.
bringing that back to poetry because we can. You can't always force yourself to write poetry, and it is a Taoist thing, right? Like you sometimes you can be completely in flow, and you can be just having poems pouring out of you for like a week straight,
Mm.
and
Oh yeah.
that's a lot more of a Taoist experience because you're like, this is just coming through me, and it's beautiful, and it's expressing everything that is really deeper in my heart, and then you might go a month without it, and you're like
Ah,
trying to write and it's just not like happening and stuff.
yeah.
And we can even relate that to like content writing and stuff too, right? It's like if it's the time, then it's the time. And there's like a lot of really amazing ideas.
Yeah.
And then there's also moments when it's just not your time. And, the more you think about it, it's just like you'll just stop yourself. You'll stop yourself from like creating something more essential.
Hmm. I almost think a big mistake with writing is that people want to view it as a path and they want to go on that path and keep going in that direction. So when they come up against a roadblock, then they stop. Whereas instead, kind of just whatever you want to write about at the time. But people want to make it like a book format. So they want to have like a timeline, a beginning and an end. And one of my sisters, she works best when she writes instead of going on the timeline, like like we tend to want to do. She wanted to do that. She wanted to write this page, then the next page, third page, fourth page, fifth page. Instead of writing like that, she writes just whatever scenes she wants to write, and then she pieces them together.
Hmm.
Hearing what you said reminded me of that,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
like the fro coming and the fro weaving. But it might not necessarily be that the fro comes right in front of that roadblock and sweeps it away.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
People have different ways of writing, though. So,
Of course, yeah. Well, it reminds me of like when I was describing how my books came together. It's like there is a loose narrative from what I was writing from beginning to end of the year. And so most the books are mostly arranged in that way. Sorry, I'm like
cool.
at a mirror here and I'm confused. Um, and right, so when I'm arranging the poems, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was first, and it just makes sense that that comes next. Okay, like yeah, there is kind of
Yeah.
something going on here. But then there's a few poems that I kind of totally misplaced on purpose, and I'm like, that is great in and of itself, but like even though I wrote this one at the end of the year, I think it really actually belongs uh,
Ah,
somewhere in the middle. Like really, it just belongs after this other poem, because
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like sure, I mean, the inspiration just comes when it does, right? Like, and it just
Yeah.
exists. The poem exists now, but it still belonged side by side with another poem on like a two-page spread
Gosh, yeah.
because that is just what really made the most sense. Yeah, and
The
some of them,
books,
like you look at a two-page spread, it's just like, does that really go together? Well, but I'm looking at yeah, and like these two are kind of
cool.
yeah. I also like to kind of express them in a certain way on the page because it kind of sometimes it's just how it came out in the journal, and then
Yeah,
sometimes it just has to do with what the poem feels like, and then
yeah.
it guides me in how I'm reading it out loud and how I'm expressing it.
Cool.
Right. And so awareness and imprints. I think imprints I was written in more in like kind of the spring or early summer maybe. And then the other poem on the other side of awareness, I can I believe it was written later on, much later in the year, more in the fall, but just kind of the what these were expressing, they're sort of I can't say vague, but it's sort of like sensations and then they just
Cool.
fit together on the page. So like
Yeah,
I'll just read them for see the example.
cool.
Awareness. Reality warp, time lapse, blink my eyes, everything shifts. Just a quick crackle in time-space awareness, no going back. But alas, what is different here than what I knew before? For this may only be a shift in awareness of the present moment. Here I am, but self is merely an illusion. Step forward, see the light, somewhere. And so that had to do with the idea that like we have little di d dimension jumps. And so sometimes there's like little moments like we like the idea like when you make a choice then it
Mm,
splits off into two different paradigms or versions of reality, right? So I made a choice to do something and there's a Rochelle going down a completely different path in a different dimension because she made a certain
mm,
choice. and there's me experiencing all of this now because of how, one choice was made. And so it was just this kind of like I just remember like sitting there and just there's this sort of like have you ever just kind of got in your mind just like a I don't know, like a it's sort of like a hmm like the specific thing was like I was sitting there and it was sort of like a almost like a lightning bolt like kind of like crackle like whoa uh I can almost like vi visualize like a lightning bolt, but it was sort of like my eyes just did something weird and I'm like whoa, like what if this was like a dimension hop or something? Like what if some other version of Rochelle just came in? I might be somewhere else. So the idea of awareness, that's what I titled the poem, came through just to be like I feel like I'm a bit more of aware of like myself and surroundings, but something feels like it could be different.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I like these
I
kind of
watched
time travel things. What? Go ahead.
I watched the Flash. I know about those little dimension things.
You watched
Kind of
what?
pick a paths. The Flash.
I don't know what.
Also, they had a lot of time travel and pocket dimensions and just tons of different little things like that. So like when you talked about that, I thought of like I was able to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I one I watched the show called The OA, and that's been a
So
really interesting one. Have you seen that?
no.
Okay, so I guess how can I long story short this? Basically, this woman had gotten kidnapped and was kept for like 7 years underground with this guy who was experimenting like very unethically with these people who have experienced near-death experiences. Um, and the thing is, after a near-death experience, these people have some kind of like extra superhuman kind of thing. Like something really distinct happens to them and they're really good at something like extremely skilled or whatever. In this case, the woman had a near death experience when she was a young child and she became blind from that. However, she ended up growing up and being extremely good at the violin. So he ended up finding her because he could hear her violin and be like, this is extra. This is otherworldly. I wonder if this is a person who's had a near-death experience. So he finds her,
Hmm.
talks to her, and yeah, yeah, I did have that. Wow, well, I'm like a scientist. I'm, you know, meet people and we try to, kind of seek different kinds of, phenomena or truth or whatever. But oh, that sounds amazing. Oh my God, like no one's like talked to me about these things before, right? She ends up getting like kidnapped and stuff. So
Also,
but
yeah.
but there is like different stuff about the idea of time travel and the idea of different dimensions and stuff that comes through later on
Yeah.
in the show and everything, right? Like puts them through near-death experiences and they're out basically astral project to different places during those moments.
Now I'm like, don't strike up a conversation with a scientist who's exploring near-death experiments. That's what I'm thinking.
Had one?
Pardon?
Have you had one?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Like I fell out of a car when I was young, but it happened so fast and it was kind of like miracle. So this I was alive. But I would call that a near-death experience. A
Like
lot of the things
did
that
you like
happen with
actually
me.
die? Like
No,
clinically die?
no.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not thinking near enough.
Yeah, near is like the actually
Yeah, okay.
entities are like
Not enough.
people who actually do die, but then they come back.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No to that. Amy pulling out her accidents. Just nope.
You
No,
might have
never went that far.
because you might have remembered like going into maybe
I
space
see.
or like possibly seeing ancestors. I've done some studying on this. It's really fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Amazing what people come back with. Just like such beautiful
Yeah.
experiences. Okay, so that all came from that poem awareness, and I was meant to be reading the two side
Oh
by.
yeah. You had another poem.
We got another one. Imprints. Focus, focus, I must try to see. Beams of light point at me. Frantic, frantic, close my eyes, materialize. Memories arise. In here they take form. Find familiar faces. An amoeba? An antler? Hopefully a flower. Try to take control. What am I looking for? Blend vision into static. Nay voices, nay direction. A lily bloomed and died. Peek at the sun, red glow eyelids. Is that who I see? Hold fast and let go. A pebble in water falls below. Light isn't always clear. Beams blind the eyes. Imprint dark images. So these two are things that are like experiences that like kind of go on behind closed eyes that are going on in the human experience behind the eyes. And which is a bit of a
Yeah.
different take on like on other poetry. It's like be very visual. Um,
Mhm.
describe a thing or a scene, but use a lot of imagery and then tie it in with metaphor to give it some kind of a meaning. I guess with my
Oh
poetry, I
yeah.
like to be very experiential, so it's like
Yeah.
what's going on when I close my eyes. It's you can call it maybe kind of like a state of meditation in a way. Um,
It's kind of like you become the metaphor.
ooh.
It's really cool. I like your poems.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really it's a it's hard to describe what makes a poem, what makes a good poem,
Oh yeah.
but it's you know when you feel it, and that's a whole part of it.
Yeah.
You know if it sounds unique or it makes you feel something or if it sounds cheesy.
True.
It's like I can't tell you what's wrong with it, but it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And people have different tastes too.
That's also true, yeah. Right, because I've seen contests existing online and I'm like, I don't know why they're the
Yeah.
winner. But hey, everyone has different tastes and a ton of people agreed, but we all have different styles.
Yeah. Kind of like different genres of music.
Yeah.
There's a song I really like. Um, but one of the reasons I like it is because I'm not sure if I told you this before, but they read off a line of like a poem before the song, which
Mhm.
was that an artist dies twice, once when they can no longer perform their art, and the second time when they actually die. And that just gave so much more meaning to the song for me. It's kind
Mm.
of like almost like the poetry, um, the narrative having a storyline added so much to the to the song.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully artists never get to stop performing their art. But I guess sometimes they do. I a tattoo artist that did a tattoo that's on my arm. And I hadn't seen him for several years. When did I get it? In 2021, and then I didn't see him again until I guess it was only a couple of years later in 23, but it still felt like a lot longer than that. But next time I saw him, like his shop had been closed for a while. I didn't know anything going on. And then I saw him, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I'm not tattooing anymore because he got
Oh,
in some kind of an accident, totally fucked up his hand,
oh,
and he might be like missing fingers or something like that. It's just
mm,
like it's not good." He's like, "That part of my life is over now." So, I mean,
yeah,
must be sad, but he also found his peace with it easier. He's He's
It's
quite
nice.
Buddhist as well, so you know, and it's a lot easier to find your peace once you're kind of on that path. But still, it's different. I'm like, oh my God, it was an interesting
It seems
session.
brutal.
Yeah, it was an interesting tattoo session because he was like, yeah, in a similar vein to like writing poetry. He's like, I find tattoos are healing experiences for people
Hmm.
because they want to get this piece that really represents something that they went through. And I'm like,
Ah,
you have no idea everything I went through to get the tattoo that you're about to put on me. Like, no way. No way did I find the most Buddhist guy to to tattoo this one on me. Yeah, that was really cool.
cool.
So, I think I'm ready to wrap this up. Unless we wanted to spend a few moments writing something as well, or but I think I'm good for now.
Same.
All
It
right,
was a
well,
very lovely conversation.
thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and there will be more. I'm going to be doing this
Awesome.
weekly. All
Okay.
right. Just one sec here. How do we? Okay. All right, thank you. Just, oops. I'm just gonna stop the